You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where the 2023 Cricket World Cup rumbles on. We've got records broken. We've got Afghanistan wins. We've got whatever happened in the game yesterday that was really boring and we won't spend much time on. And we've got to look forward to England's heroic comeback
Starts tomorrow.
Which starts tomorrow. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Ross Legg. How you doing, Ross?
I'm good. I'm glad to see we've got our first over 300 run defeat. So, nice. And Jack, I believe this $5 is all yours, as England called up Bryden Cast. So instead of Chris Jordan. So, yeah, I'm $5 poorer because of it.
Yes, and I am $5 richer, of course. Max, you're also with us. We are fresh from our debut on Indian TV this morning at 7 o'clock. So quite tired, I would say. Me personally, jumping a whole working day as well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I at least didn't have to go into the office afterwards. But I'd say, Ross, that's possibly one of the worst spent $5 I've ever seen. The odds you were getting on that were not good.
It was a poor investment at even money, I would say. Yeah, I agree with you, Max. But that's why I made the bet. Like I'm the anchor shooter here.
Yeah.
Ross is taking the words out of my mouth there. The fool.
Wow.
In this scenario. Yeah.
But what is interesting? There is a rumor. Have you seen the rumor that's circulating on our Discord channel? So you can join our Discord channel. Go to patreon.com/cricketpod. You'll get access to it. But the rumor is that, Jack, you've lost a significant amount of your hair in the last 2 months, and that's why you always wear the baseball cap. And no one's actually seen you without the baseball cap for the last 2 months. So it's a rumor going around. We'll maybe do a grand reveal. No. I think it's better to Schrodinger's hair almost.
there is a reason for it, but we'll reveal that at the end of the podcast if we remember, which we might not. Also, it will prevent us from going off on a completely visual tangent when the vast majority of our audience consumes this media by listening to it. So, good start. 2 minutes 30 into the pod. Not talked about any cricket. Speculated on my hair. Finished cashing out a bet, the worst bet of all time, and talked about how tired we are. That's all good. We have got 3 cricket matches. We're going to be talking, I think, first about Pakistan's subsidence to Afghanistan. Then we'll be talking about the big show, putting on a big show against the Netherlands this afternoon, and wrapping up with South Africa v Bangladesh and a little preview of the next couple of matches. Ross, as you said, Patreon is where people can go for bonus content. I do a power ranking every week if people want to know who I think's good in the Cricket World Cup, or want to know more about that, because this show is also sort of about who's good in the Cricket World Cup, but you can get just unadulterated analysis if you want. We're heading over there, and you can follow us everywhere else, on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. Like and share, etc. Max, what happened in the cricket on Monday?
Well, what happened? We were at Chennai, and Pakistan won the toss, and they chose to bat. Some of my friends from my cricket team, who are big Pakistan fans, questioned that decision. But Afghanistan and the captain Hazmatullah said they would have batted too. So maybe not such a bad decision. And they got off to a reasonably good start, but Afghanistan dragged it back with Noor Ahmed back in the side. Afghanistan going for the death by spin approach at Chennai, not necessarily a bad move. He took 3 wickets and sort of tied things up in the middle of the Pakistan innings. And it was only at the end when Iftikhar Ahmed was slapping bombs into the crowd at the expense of Paul Naveen or Hack that Pakistan ended up on 282, which I thought at the time was plenty, because as we've said countless times, Afghanistan can't bat apart from a couple of guys in that lineup. So once again, they went out after dismantling England's bowling attack and showed us that once again we were we were wrong. Not entirely wrong,
Well-
because we did say that they had a few batters, and they were the ones who scored most of the runs. But Ramat Shah also joined in, and he wasn't one that we said would score piles of runs, but he scored a really nicely compiled 77 off 84 to ultimately bring Afghanistan to a really comfortable chase. At every point, when it was like 90 off 90, and we were like, I still think they're going to blow this, one wicket, and it could all go wrong. But it was serene progress. They were comfortable. It was a really impressive win for Afghanistan. Their third ever at World Cups and first ever over Pakistan in ODIs. It's massive for them. What a performance!
Oh, it was unbelievable, and it came. I think, probably based on the strength of their weaker suit. I think we're probably right in saying they don't have an awful lot of batting. To be fair to us, but in this particular game, we were proven wrong. Like all of the top four fired. All of that hasn't happened for England once in this World Cup. Hasn't happened for most of, like a lot of the teams in this World Cup. They made the chase look pretty easy. First wicket fell at 130, and that was only after 21 overs as well. So we're going over a run of ball, and the kind of back had been broken. You could see the Pakistan team. It's always more fun, I think, when the bigger nation is in the field and you can see the disintegration. When England and South Africa lost to the Netherlands and Afghanistan, respectively, because it was only the batters out there, you don't see the look of sheer panic on the faces of the fielders, the captain, and in this case also Mickey Arthur patrolling the touchline like a young Neil Warnock. But we got all of that. It was a great spectacle, and I thought it was a fantastic win by Afghanistan, which at least equals, in my mind, Ross, their victory against England. They're playing some excellent cricket, aren't they?
They are, and I saw this as almost like Chinese water torture. Is how I kind of saw this. Is that they kept the Pakistan pundits and players and fans just dangling there, and I found that like just the slow release of death is what I saw it as, and I was all here for it. The student had truly become the master in here. We know that out of the kind of out of the flames came the likes of Rashid Khan, Noor Ahmed, etc. And they did brilliantly. But what I was really impressed with was them really stepping up and going, do you know what, we can take down 280 odd. And Max, I know that we were kind of saying on chat, oh, that's quite a lot of runs that they've actually been able to get there in Pakistan. They should do it. But they were toothless in their attack. They didn't seem to have a real bowling plan to them. Again, like we saw with South Africa versus the Netherlands, they almost hadn't really done their homework, it kind of looked like, and they almost played into some of the batters' strengths. And what you saw culminated in what has been a big problem for Pakistan, that they haven't been able to put together all of the facets that make a good cricket team together at once in this.
I'm not sure they
tournament.
put any of them together in this particular game. It was an absolute. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, Pakistan were. I mean, okay, batting aside, I think they batted okay. Like it wasn't that easy a pitch to score runs on, despite how easy some of the Afghan players made it look. But it wasn't that easy to score runs on against the Afghanistan bowling attack that they picked. They only bowled 12 overs of seam, Afghanistan, in this game. 38 overs of spin. They brought in Noor Ahmed for Fazal Haq Farooqi. There was obviously a plan there. They're at Chennai. We know what Chennai's like as a ground. It can be slow. It can turn. And CSK have got a whole strategy out of the way they play in T20s because of the Chapok. And Afghanistan played that really well. I think they played to their strengths. They know that spin is their strength, and they absolutely maximize that. And you compare that with Pakistan. Mohammad Nawaz was ill, so that kind of robbed them of an option, which meant that Shadab
they could actually play Shadab Khan this time.
Came back in, yeah. And then you got two leg spinners, which maybe isn't ideal, but and the pace in the Afghanistan attack was the stuff that got the treatment, and it actually looked reasonably comfortable to bat against that. But Pakistan's fast bowlers were poor. Like there was no control, there was no direction. It was short, it was wide. It gave them the opportunity to attack it, and they are really, really struggling without Shaheen firing in the power play. I mean, I think there's a really stark stat about the number of wickets he's taken in the power play before and after his injury. So I don't know if there is something lingering, but he's not firing, and it's robbed Pakistan of their main toolkit when it comes to taking wickets in
And they've got
ODI
bloody
cricket. And they're
Harris Ralph,
stuffed.
who's it looks more like Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons. He does at the moment, like absolutely dreadful. He's performing.
Yeah, pretty pants all round. I would say.
I didn't even mention the fielding.
What do you mean?
Do we have to now? Do we genuinely have to kind of commentate on how bad Pakistan's fielding has been throughout this entire tournament?
Osama Mir took a catch. You know,
He did.
When that
it was quite a good
happens-
catch as well.
It was a good catch, yeah. When that happens, we should applaud. Let's not at this dire time for Pakistani cricket. Let's not go in hard on the fielding when there's so many other options. The fielding will be there another day, boys. If we need to,
Say
Pakistani
keep it out to dry. There's so much other content.
It was. I thought it was a really, all round pretty poor. I think you're being a little bit generous to them, Max. If I'm honest, saying that their batting was good. Yeah, I think
I said it was
5.
all right. I didn't say it was good.
I would say it was a 5 out of 10 performance. It
starts from senior batters, right, who threw it away. Really,
I feel like if you're going to bat first, you've got to make a little bit more of a statement than that. They kind of meandered around, not really going anywhere. I mean, like nobody in the lineup actually sort of does anything in terms of trying to put the Afghans under pressure until like Iftikhar comes in and bashes a few sixes. It's one of those ones. It was one of those ones when he started teeing off towards the end. You were a little bit like, like one of two things might have happened here. Has this pitch got a little bit easier to bat on at the wrong time for Pakistan, or have the Pakistan lineup maybe played this wrong? And I don't. It could be that. It could just be like that the Afghan batters had a day out, but they looked a lot more comfortable. Gurbaz relatively untroubled, I would say, for his 65. And Ibrahim Sadran, we talked him up quite a bit before the tournament, so it was good to see him cash in 87 from 113. Not the world's best strike rate, but it sort of glued the innings together and made sure they'd get themselves home. Huge for Afghanistan. There's like I guess there is a question that now genuinely has to be asked. Afghanistan 2 wins from 3 matches. They're 1 win out of the playoffs. They have coming up, boys, Sri Lanka and the Netherlands. Then a game against Australia. They're probably favourites for those 2 games, Afghanistan and Sri Lanka and the Netherlands. They could be going into a game against Australia in a couple of weeks with, semi-final aspirations. Do we think this is a bigger story? Do we think this is a bigger story developing here, or is this? Yeah, when we talked England losing to Afghanistan, we were pretty hard on England, and we said you should be losing to Afghanistan. Well, they've done it again. Is this another scenario, Ross, where we really should be battering Pakistan here, or like I say, is something kind of moving beneath the surface?
I think they've done what they needed to like 2 ill dogs that just needed being put out of their misery. And I think they were almost, when you play, sometimes you play people at the right time, and I think that is what happened when they played against England. And they definitely played like Pakistan's confidence is shot to bits, and you saw that here. They again, the lack of identity. What I think is good about Afghanistan is that they've got a bit of resilience to them. Jonathan Trott, head coach, and they've got a bit of the Jonathan Trotts about them. If I'm perfectly honest, there is a little bit around kind of back to the walls, do what you need to do to kind of get in there and kind of do well for your team. They do seem to have a game plan for every other game, which I think is a little bit effective. Sometimes they just completely go against what has worked for them before, but you saw here that they did have a plan against Pakistan's batters. They were able to adapt, and I think they've got that flexibility in that bowling lineup to adjust to those conditions. Max, you're completely right when they say around getting the CSK treatment. They've kind of looked at the data. They've looked at kind of what works, and then they've actually followed it when it's not been 50 degrees and 100% humidity, and actually done a really good job. So I think let's do it. The bandwagon is broken down. The wheels have come off the bandwagon. We need a new dark horse to be backing, and the Afghanistan. I don't know what.
Yeah, we'll workshop that throughout the show.
Well, actually, yeah. So, but maybe we're at Afghanistan's now for all of that. So, and that's what we're going to be. So, I would love to see them true Kevin Keegan style. I would love it to see if they would beat Sri Lanka and then beat Netherlands and then really do kind of tee it up like what could be possible, because otherwise this is going to be a pretty dreary kind of dead rubber after dead rubber.
This is the other side of this result, and part of the reason why it's kind of not as much fun the second time. It has ruined the world. It has ruined the World Cup. No offense, Afghanistan. Like it's a great achievement, yeah. But if we're being realistic, the table would be a lot more fun if England had 2 wins from.
Yeah, the next 2 weeks would be a bit of a slog, isn't it?
And Pakistan were 3 and 2. Like it would be better if that was the scenario. So, you know, it is great. Like it's a fantastic day for Afghan cricket. They're competing in a World Cup, properly competing, and they could maybe set something up for that Australia game coming up. I'll take it all back if that happens. I will take it back if they have a ding dong against Australia. But right now,
where are they playing Australia?
They got no chance.
Oh, they're no chance.
They're stuffed.
That's the David Warner century, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that'll be him tying Rohit Sharma for 7 World Cup centuries right there.
Yeah, I think even Bangalore might be a better place for them, because there is the chance that Gurbaz scores 200 off 100 or something weird.
Yeah.
I've been impressed with Gurbaz. I think there was questions around his kind of consistency, but he's really, really stepped up, and he's still really young, isn't he? So he's not one of those kind of people you say, oh yeah, he's up and coming. He's actually 29. He's kind of he's what, 23 years old, I think.
23, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's really taken on the mantle of senior batter in this lineup, and I've been really impressed.
Dare I say he's playing a Rohit Sharma role in that opening pair for Afghanistan. It's attacking the chase, and I mean at Chennai it was a perfect way to go about it, and it works. Absolutely. You know, when setting a total against England as well. Really impressive. Yeah.
Yes. Anything else from either of you on this match? There's rumours, aren't there, that there's some discord in the Pakistan camp. Maybe we'll try and get someone on to talk about that. I don't know if either of you have heard more.
No, but there's a lot of rumblings, aren't there, about Babar and his captaincy. I mean, the look on his face is one of rabbit caught in headlights, isn't it? When things go wrong and the chips are down, there is no plan B. It's just a man who looks like he doesn't know what he's doing, and that's not
it's
a
like
good place to
Steven
be.
Gerrard managing a team. Actually, like Frank Lampard managing a football team.
Yes, Frank Lampard. Probably.
But I think part of that is just his face, though.
I think it is. I think you're right. I think part of that is.
I think he just looks a bit like, what am I doing?
Also, on the evidence of what Pakistan do in game of cricket, I also don't think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I always thought, to bring this back to England, of course, that part of the Owen Morgan leadership thing was just that Owen Morgan kind of looks like Owen Morgan when he's just standing around. So people would be like, "Oh, there's no emotion there." I think actually there was quite a lot of emotion, but his face wasn't that expressive. So you had to. He wasn't suppressing anything or keeping calm. He had like a bit of a cat's face. Whereas
really good at
Babar has got a bit. Maybe, yeah. I can see that. I can see that potentially being true. Yeah, and there's apparently some rumours of illness in the Pakistan camp too. But didn't they quarantine one of their players? They wouldn't let them out. Maybe that was Nawaz. I don't think it was officially released, but apparently there has been some serious illness. So Ross, like you said, Afghanistan have got Jonathan Trott and Pakistan just trots. So yeah. Anything to wrap up part 1, or should we take a break and come back with Maxi?
Let's leave it there.
Perfecto.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, can you do us a favour and just click like? Also subscribe. That keeps the algorithm in business. So yeah, do that. And if you're on Spotify or iTunes, a review would be much appreciated. We'll try and get Ross to read some of them out later on the episode. Should we move straight on to Maxwell? Max?
Yes, the big show. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh boys. It was going to happen eventually, wasn't it? It'd all been so good for the first four goes at it. They were in touch with teams. They deposed South Africa. They pushed people. They looked like they belonged. And then they ran into the bullies of cricket. And I mean,
Yes.
if you had to pick a team that would do this to the Netherlands, you would never look any further than Australia. Even an Australia that's that was perhaps slightly ailing at the start.
That's woke Australia.
Woke Australia. Yeah. So David Warner smashed 100, and even Marnus Labuschagne scored at a strike rate over 100. He hit 62 or 47. Australia were making serene progress, but the real nail in the coffin, the pummeling moment, the gif from The Simpsons where he's like, "Stop it, he's already dead." That's what we got from Glenn Maxwell today. The fastest ever 100 in a World Cup.
Just unnecessary, really.
Yeah. No, even ruining Aidan Markram's fun. 40 balls it took him to smash 100. Half of it he did left-handed as well, by the looks of things. It was a proper Glenn Maxwell.
It was brutal to watch. Absolutely brutal.
I mean, he just stood there and smashed everything as hard as he could, and it was really quite impressive. Even if it was just poor old Netherlands. 399 for 8. They made it too, and Netherlands just crumpled, really. Running yourself out isn't a great way of going about chasing 400. And I'd like to sit here and say at least they fell on their sword giving it a go, but ultimately it was just Australia's bowlers were too good for them. Yes. And it's one of those, it was always going to happen, wasn't it? It was one of those days where the big boys ran amok, and even Zampa at the end crushed the tail by bowling googlies, which no one could pick. It was all a little embarrassing by the end, but yeah, fair play to Australia. They stamped their authority, and a massive net run rate boost for them as well, which is also bad news for Afghanistan and England and Pakistan. They're ruining World Cup too, aren't they? Australia.
This is the most Australia win of all time, isn't it? Like this is peak Australia.
Spoiling everyone's fun.
These people were built to do is to crush the Netherlands under their boot, like a villain, like a Mad Max villain. Just sheer brutality. I mean, I will say this: it was professional. It was really high quality from Australia. They didn't leave anything to chance. In the game against South Africa, South Africa left the door open. Pakistan left the door open against the Netherlands. Australia, they clearly prepared.
No, there wasn't even a door. There wasn't even a door.
They
built a house. You just couldn't get in.
You got the builders in to build an extension, and you arrived like, "Oh, this looks great," and then you just realise they forgot something.
It was properly vicious. Obviously, there's the record for the most runs, or the quickest century, sorry, by Glenn Maxwell, 140 balls. There is also the record World Cup win by 309 runs, the second highest ODI win ever, I think. India beat Sri Lanka by 315, if I am correct, earlier this year for the record. So Netherlands didn't quite capture that one, but gave it a go. And poor Bats de Leyder, 115 runs in 10 overs. Now, it depends where there's a silver lining to this, because he does get 2 wickets, so arguably not as bad as Zampa and the other bloke who went for 113 without, I think, taking a wicket, but not great. And it's actually part of me really wants to have a go at Australia for ruining the fun. I understand that's not how World Cups work, or sport really in general, above Sunday.
How dare you be good
cricket? Yeah. But part of me also thinks that there is an element of this from Australia that's actually a little bit more impressive than just, it's the Netherlands, because the Netherlands have been playing good cricket. They've beaten South Africa, who in turn beat Australia. They'd run Pakistan close. Basta leader is a decent bowler. To knock him for 115 runs, you have to be Glenn Maxwell. There aren't very many batters in the world that could do what Glenn Maxwell did, even in quotes, to the Netherlands. So fair play on that front. It was a scintillating innings, Ross, wasn't it?
It was, and I've never seen a batter get into those positions. We got Shivakumar Yadav in the IPL, and we're just like, wow, this guy's got everything. Glenn Maxwell is so unbelievably strange to watch at the crease. He's like this mythical creature when he kind of gets into this mode. And there was one where he literally has got to reverse scoop it and somehow toe-ended it down on the boundary to fine leg. Like, what is going on in this space? And it was brutal, but there was a little bit of, it was a classiness to it. Like, he started his innings with kind of a straight drive and a cover drive, and he just looked well set from from literally the beginning. And some of the shots that he was just taking on, the Netherlands just didn't have an answer to him, and it wasn't like they were just bowling the same ball every time. He just had an answer for it. They were trying to mix it up. They were trying variations. They mixed around the bowling lineup, and it just wasn't going well for them at all. And when someone like the Big Show is in that vein of form, it is absolutely brilliant to watch. You saw his reaction as well. He almost kind of screamed his head off for it. But it was as I said, it was just that moment. Baz de Leader was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He'll go down in the history books as the worst bowler to bowl in ODIs, and that's harsh, I think, as a moniker for it in terms of runs conceded. But that just happened, unfortunately, to him.
It did feel like something that just happens. Like, that's kind
out
of
your control.
Yeah. It was like, one of those people that just goes on holiday to the wrong place at the wrong time, and then the volcano goes off, and it's like on paper it looked like a great trip. I was going to go to I was going to go to Vesuvius, have a look, sample some wine and produce, have a nice pizza. Next thing you know, there's a pyroclastic flow coming towards me, and I have been engulfed in ash. And 2,000 years later, people are going to find an outline of my carcass preserved. That was Baz de Leader. He was basically, like an ancient Roman who was just on a holiday to Naples, Bay of Naples. It's lovely that time of year. Just didn't know.
Yeah, didn't know. Didn't know what was coming.
There's an element of that with Maxwell as well, though, isn't there? Like
he's the volcano.
He's got he is. He has a volcano-like quality to him. Like, if you go and see him and he doesn't erupt, you feel disappointed. And when he does, you're like, fucking hell, that is good.
And what is interesting, we've seen it all over the last 5 years of Glenn Maxwell, right? When his stint at Punjab Kings, where he literally didn't hit a 6 in the IPL. There was a bit where he was just like
dormant.
Yeah, so this guy is all fart and no poo. Today he was full poo. That is who this guy was.
Today he shat himself,
and unfortunately he shat all over Baz de Leader and the other Netherlands bowlers. I think the other part is the ruthlessness. Jack, you kind of mentioned the clinical nature of this of Australia. It was exactly what I think, England wish they could have done against Afghanistan, what South Africa wish they would have done against the Netherlands, and it was absolutely brutal. And David Warner can't come out of this again without any praise. David Warner has led from the front of this Australian batting lineup and really kind of rolled back the years. He looks in imperious form at the top of the order, and they've also got Travis Head to come back in now. He's back with the team. There's talk around how do they fit him in. Max, you talked about that. Yeah, Marnus he got 60 odd today and struck it over 100 for the first time in a while. But Travis Head coming into this lineup makes it stronger, and I think people need to be scared of this lineup now. They are starting to peak at the right time. They're coming into it and they're strengthening. Max,
they're going to end up dropping Mitch Marsh, aren't they?
No, you can't drop the Bison. You can't. He's the figurehead. Marnus has to go. It has to be Marnus or Steve Smith.
But he's just done what he did in the warm up. So just and he scored 62 or 47, and suddenly we're like, oh yeah, no, maybe Marnus at 4 is the right call, and we'll bring.
We
No,
can't
you think
bowl-
they're going to go with the right call? I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not
they
sure.
bring
Even in-
Travis Head in.
even in this scenario, you saw what you could do when Glenn Maxwell came in. So that's 62 or 47. It doesn't look so good now, to be perfectly honest. It just like I'm looking at that and I'm still thinking weak link there. That guy should be doing more. So Marnus out, Head in, and then
And
figure it
that is
out from
dangerous.
there.
That is dangerous. I think having another
Yeah.
left-hander, I think benefits them to mix it up. I think being in the position to have someone who can actually bowl decent spin. We've seen Marnus's spin; it's not good enough to get them through anyone, is it? This tournament.
Yeah.
So
They
Adam
are dangerous,
Zampa,
though.
Jack. Yeah, Adam Zampa. He has gone from conceding 113 off 10 overs in the warm-up to the World Cup to now taking, what is it? I think it's 3 games back-to-back fourfers, and rocketed up the wicket-taking charts. It's a big boon, and I'm wondering what's caused it. Is it the threat that Nathan Lyon was going to come back into this lineup, and is that motivation enough, Max?
No, he played the Netherlands and Pakistan. That's what happened.
And Sri Lanka. Like I do think, and I think this is why you're kind of right, Ross. I think strength of schedule has a massive impact on how good I think people perceive teams as. I think Australia's starting with India and South Africa, who were up there as 2 of the best teams in the tournament. Everyone thought India were the best, and then a lot of people were saying, us included, South Africa are pretty handy here. We probably had England in the mix, and so we weren't right about everything. But that was not a nice way to start the tournament. To then go Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Netherlands, you couldn't ask for 3 better games when you've lost 2. Like maybe you throw Bangladesh in there, but. Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't as well. Like it's partly, I think, strength of schedule that has got Australia on this roll. Now they are on the roll, though. They do look like the sort of team that might be quite difficult to stop. Like the head switcheroo is something that improves the team. Like a little bit of experience now for Pat Cummins with the bowlers he's got at his disposal and how he wants to use them and what fields he wants to use. Probably actually really useful for him as somebody who doesn't have loads of captaincy as a 50 over leader. That's something else that's improving. And I think all of the bowlers, the seam bowlers as well, a few 50 over matches under their belt, bowling different lengths and stuff is another improvement. So I think the team that played India and the team that played South Africa is substantially better now. I think they're definitely tracking in the right direction, helped of course by that the run of slightly easier games. But New Zealand at the weekend, they've got to be pretty strong favourites for that. And then who do they play after that? England, probably reasonably strong favourites for that as things stand. I think they're on their way. Yeah, they're on their way, aren't they? Like Australia are going to win the World Cup. That's what I'm saying. It's going to happen. Anyone disagree?
I still can't see them winning it. This is like the other flip side to it is when they've come up against sides that are good, they've not done the business. And they've beaten the sides. Yeah, they've beaten the minnows. They've beaten the teams that are out of form. They've beaten the teams that are lacking players. And I think the games against New Zealand and England are going to really show us where they're at. Maybe less so England because they're a disaster at the moment. But New Zealand will be a really interesting test because they've been going about their business really well. They've been really impressive. More so than we thought at the start. We weren't that hot on them. We thought they weren't that exciting, but they've been clinical and really consistent. And that's going to be a really interesting thing to see Australia come up against. They've come up against, the teams on hot streaks. They've come up against the opposite. And I think we'll see where they are in that tracking, as you put it, in that game against New Zealand. I think that's going to be a really interesting one.
I think they'll be 3-3 from that. Is what I think. I think New Zealand are going to turn them over at the weekend.
All right, interesting. Should we take another quick break and then we'll come back and wrap up the show with, well, a brief conversation about South Africa, Bangladesh, and then the next 2 matches previewed.
Sounds good.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast, where we're going to be talking South Africa v Bangladesh. And I will summarise this really quickly. South Africa batted first and scored a bunch of runs. Quinton De Kock, well, the clear star with 174 from 140 balls. Didn't quite get the South African ODI record, which I think is Gary Kirsten in the 180s, which was a shame. And really was the main drama from this match. Heinrich Klaassen, just for the hell of it, 90 off 49 balls, and David Miller hit some sixes with 34 off 15. Bad for Bangladesh. It was.
They didn't even try to win, did they?
Bad Bangladesh.
It was pretty bad. In response, Bangladesh fell in a colossal heap. They were 58 for 5, 81 for 6, 122 for 7. Never going to win, but one man does come out of it with a little bit of credit. Mamadullah. Ross, you told me before the show, third World Cup century, and he's got half of the World Cup centuries for Bangladesh. 111 from 111 for him. Actually, a decent innings, I thought. He comes out, as I said, with credit. Everybody else, if they haven't already, they need to book their flight home, don't they, Ross?
Yeah, it was good to see that people actually stayed around to help him get to that century, which was nice. It was a bit of fight. They didn't go out even looking like they were trying to chase down the total. And Bangladesh have done that before. And I think Shakib Al Hassan came out and pretty said, "Yeah, 380 is not in the locker, so we're not even going to try." And it's been like, what's the point in you even playing this game then? So it is a little bit bewildering sometimes when people come out and say things like that. But yeah, you saw here just the kind of the golfing class. And yeah, Quinton De Kock is retiring at the end of this World Cup, and he is going out with a bang. That's his 3rd World Cup century this time round after never hitting one before. So he's got a point to prove. Klaassen, he's so hot right now. It's unbelievable. Like, he is in a rich vein of form. And yeah, Max, I don't know how you even begin to think around stopping him. Like, England literally tried to make him bat in an oven. He could do that. Did that very well.
He also he destroys everything, every type of bowling. You can't just be like, oh well, we'll just bowl this at him and he won't score as quickly. Some things he smashes further and more quickly than others, but he still smashes everything. He's phenomenal. Yeah,
and then the cast around him, right? Markram has stepped up. Markram is actually hitting runs in the South Africa lineup, which he normally is quite inconsistent at doing. Bavuma's not back in the side. Reza Hendricks is in there at the moment. Marco Janssen's done very well. And the fact that David Miller is just in this almost like the Shimron Hetmeyer role for Rajasthan Royals, just coming in at the end and be like, yeah, I've got 10 balls. I'll see what I can do. Like, what a luxury. Yeah, what a luxury to have. And then the bowling lineup, they brought in... was it Lizard Williams in here, who bowled really well, and you're just kind of seeing this depth in this South Africa lineup. And Jack, when we were talking about previewing the World Cup, like you said, this South Africa lineup is one to be feared, and here they just showed all of their class yet again, and it was a brutal performance and exactly what they needed at this point. So I'm sad that the bandwagon is now kind of well and truly dead, but it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, it's the 5th game in a row that South Africa have used just 5 bowlers, and in all of those games, every bowler has taken a wicket. That's good, isn't it, Max?
That is, yeah. That's. I'm always championing not going into an ODI with just 5 bowlers in case something goes wrong. But if you're banking all of them taking wickets, it doesn't matter, does it? It's nice. It's a nicely varied attack as well. They've got the pace in Kurt, so they've got Rabada, who's just class, Marco Jansen with the left arm, Maharaj, really good spin option, and then whoever is Ngidi or Williams. I mean, it's a nicely balanced attack. It's a nicely balanced batting lineup. It's a nicely balanced side. They're good. We've said it before. We'll keep saying it. South Africa good, and they're so much fun as well. That's the other thing. Just the way they play. Love South Africa. Crack on.
Yeah,
lovely. Jed's got a question in the live chat from Andy. How do I watch you guys on India TV? I'm guessing we'll send out a link on our Twitter, which you can find at the Cricket Pod.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's the place to be at the Cricket Pod. For Max and I on Fan Wars.
Yeah.
Where we lost, actually, didn't we, Max?
Yeah,
No,
it was
tell
rigged,
us.
though, wasn't it? Let's be honest, it was
You
rigged.
didn't say this to me.
We were up against India and we lost. It was controversially the chair, the host, was Indian.
Yeah, and it
Right.
was filmed
He
in
also-
India, and we were debating who's going to win out of England and India on Sunday. I mean, it was an uphill
also-
battle we were facing.
He also factored in Team India's performance into the decision.
We had no
It
chance.
wasn't just down to me and Max. So yeah, we'll post it up there.
The British treated unfairly in India. Didn't see that coming.
Oh God,
God.
did he?
Should we do some previews? I think we had a couple of questions in on our Patreon as well. But it's England, Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
That's bad even by me. That's not Chris Green, Cam Green, is it? I've just called Sri Lanka, Australia there. The flag isn't even similar. It's only got some of the same letters. It's right. Here's the scenario I think that we really need to talk about. England have got Sri Lanka. If they can win that and New Zealand can turn over Australia, there's potentially light at the end of the tunnel in terms of the next 2 weeks of cricket fixtures. Starting with England, Sri Lanka, Ross, what are the chances? Are they good? What's the prognosis?
Well, the bad news for England is that England destroyer Angela Matthews has been called up to the squad as a like-for-like replacement for Paterana. The guy must be, 40? Maybe 45? And yeah, so he's been called up. Kumar Sangakkara not far behind, I can imagine, based upon that selection. But he always does perform well against England. I think when England lost to Sri Lanka in the last World Cup, he was one of the main reasons for it. So yeah, there's a chance for Sri Lanka, but even England can't lose this one. Like they don't have any bowling left. They literally can just see out Teek Shana and just be like, right, we're going to slay everybody else. England will likely make a couple of changes, I can imagine. When I was flicking through Twitter earlier, the Barmy Army was saying that Moeen Ali is going to be playing. It's Barmy Army in the selection decisions with Rob Key and Matthew Mott, etc. Don't know. But Moeen Ali coming back into this side wouldn't actually surprise me. And yeah, we're going to obviously see a shake-up because Reece Topley is flown home. So yeah, I think England surely can't muck this up. And all of the bravado and all of the arrogance from the England side of surely has to be kind of met with a decent performance against what is an unfortunately depleted Sri Lanka side. They are, however, pretty decent at batting so far this tournament, and that is one area that England will hopefully not stick them in and cook all their players again, and then lose when they're all knackered. So yeah, that's where I think we're at.
Max, did you know Angelo Matthews' shirt number is 69?
Vintage Angelo, that is.
That's because he delivers with both bat and ball.
Right. Okay.
You can talk about the cricket now, but I just want to throw
Moving on.
And Max has somehow muted himself.
Max has muted himself. Brilliant. That's podcasting there. Well done, Max.
So, Jack, what do you think about Sri Lanka's chances here?
Look. I don't want to say anything that comes back to bite me.
Why'd you do
then? yeah, exactly. Having seen this England team, I am loath to go out hard for them and make some kind of a declaration about them being nailed on winners here, because there just seems like so many ways that they could actually lose this game. I mean,
there really is.
If we remember back to 2019, they actually did lose to Sri Lanka, chasing like 220 or something like that. It was a slightly bonkers game. I think they will win. I think that the bowling of Sri Lanka is so poor that there's almost no way that you can conceive of the England batting lineup failing again. And really, if you look at England's tournament as a whole, we kind of knew the bowling would be bad. We maybe didn't think it would be as bad as it has been, but we knew it wouldn't be great. We knew it would be probably bottom half. But the batting was supposed to be, and on paper, when you look at it, probably still is top two. it's a really, really solid batting lineup. Maybe top three. Maybe that's been a bit harsh on South Africa, but it's right up there, isn't it? Like it's quite close between the top three in terms
if you were
of
doing player, if you're doing player for player, definitely.
yeah, but England haven't had a game where more than 2 players have scored runs. And the game where that happened against Bangladesh when Root and Milan scored, they weren't really helped by anyone else. It was against Bangladesh. It was the team where they least needed those runs. They came together, 2 of them, to get a knock. So there are reasons not to be hopeful. I do think England will win, but they look a little bit confused. They've got a little bit of Pakistanitis, haven't they? Max, are you back with us now?
Yeah, I think my computer had a bit of a blip there, but I should be back. What I was saying was I agree with Ross about Angelo Matthews. I think he's going to come and take 4 for 30, but I think the rest of them are all going to go for 80. At the postage stamp of Bangalore, England need to step up and show a bit of pride now, because it's been embarrassing. And all the chat as well afterwards.
For the badge.
Joe Root talking about the fact that we should play more 50 over cricket instead of the blast. Like, all of this stuff, it's not sitting well with people. It's not sitting well with England cricket fans back home. And I think they just need to sort of go out there and show a little bit of steel, show a bit of metal, and remind everyone that they're a force. Because I mean, they're quality players, like you said. I mean, it's not been going right for them, but they just need to get their heads back in the game, and hopefully they can use the Sri Lanka game as a way of doing that and inject a bit of life back into this tournament. But you know, I'll believe it when I see it.
Next game on Friday, again, Pakistan v South Africa. It's very much put up or shut up from a Pakistan point of view here, isn't it? There is no way back. There's 100% no way back if they lose this match, and it's a long way back, even if they win. You have to think the way they've been playing that they're almost certainly going to do a Pakistan and win this by about 300 runs. But that does defy all logic, doesn't it, Ross?
Yeah, which is what Pakistan cricket's all about, isn't it? It's a complete literally, it is a complete wild card. And Max talking earlier around, will we see the Shaheen Shah Afridi kind of come back to the party and rip out that top order? That could be a bit right. And to get out of this team, you need to be getting some of the guys in a little bit early and trying to be out of their comfort zone. But I just don't see it happening. Like, as much as I love Pakistan and watching Pakistan play, just because of the hijinks that they seem to base every game plan on, this South Africa team looks like it was going to absolutely steamroller them. If you look at what's happened to Harris Ralph throughout this tournament, kind of the 100 run barrier is well within reach for some of for him breaking that, right? And yeah, I think the issue for them is that they don't score quickly enough to put that pressure on. And I think that, yeah, without those early wickets up front, they're not going to be able to stem whatever carnage comes next.
Max, could there be a chip-hawk factor at play here? It's another game at everyone's favourite cricket stadium.
It could be, yeah. If Nawaz is back, I think that would be quite useful, because I think a bit of left arm spin would go quite nicely for Pakistan against that South Africa batting lineup. I think it's going to happen. I think Pakistan are going to go full dill Pakistan, and they're gonna win this game. And I think what you said about the Shaheen, Ross, is exactly the blueprint. I think because the one you wouldn't call, I don't know if you can call it a weakness, but the one concern maybe with the South Africa lineup, they don't necessarily have a middle order that you would. They're not there to rebuild if things go a bit wrong. If they're 30 for none off 10, they're going to do better than if they're 60 for 3, basically, because is the stability there over the explosiveness. So if Shaheen nips in and gets a couple of early wickets, then maybe South Africa are robbed a bit of their their daring do down the order, and Pakistan are left with something that they can chase. Maybe they can tie them up a bit. You just see it, can't you? Just the way after South Africa losing to the Netherlands as well. There's just, like you said, there's no. You can try and put logic on it. You can try and think of it analytically and come up with good cricketing reasons why it might happen. But sometimes you just have to let that go and be like, this is Pakistan and this is what happens.
Yeah. The big question behind all of this. Go on. I'll talk. The big question behind all of this is, I think England, to a lesser extent Pakistan, and to a maybe even lesser extent Afghanistan, realistically, can any of them catch Australia or potentially New Zealand, who are the teams that play on Saturday? Like, is Ross, is that a possibility? I mean, like, if you look at the bookmakers, they seem to think it's unlikely, but it's sport, right? Like, is there a possibility?
Every tournament and every test series, all this kind of stuff in the last few years has had that twist and turn. And I still think we're waiting for that twist and turn to kind of happen. Afghanistan have upset the apple cart a little bit. But this next weekend of games, I think, is absolutely critical to what's happening. If South Africa lose to Pakistan, that kind of opens it up for Pakistan to kind of sneak in. If England beat Sri Lanka tomorrow, it does tee it up, but it's a long way back for them. And they still have to play India, which you can only imagine England are going to lose based upon your performance this morning on India TV. So
I thought we were excellent.
So I think, I think that there's going to be an upset or two, but it's going to be, I think my upset will be, and how weird is it saying this? The upset is going to be New Zealand beating Australia. That doesn't feel like an upset to me, really, but the way in which I think it will be billed might be so. I do think South Africa will be too good for Pakistan, and they'll pretty much secure their place in the playoffs. I think England, should have enough about them from a batting perspective to stand up and actually perform. But if they lose tomorrow, do you know what? I won't even be surprised.
Cool. Yeah. Right. So we will be doing a show on Friday evening, I believe, wrapping up those two matches. Looking forward to the weekend before we do our next show on Sunday evening, which will be after the India-England game. And we'll have a pretty good picture, I think, of whether we're in for a wild conclusion to the group stage of the Cricket World Cup, or whether we can all turn our TV off. Yeah.
Well, on that front, so Karthik from our Patreon has asked, should we directly switch on the cricket channel on the day of the first semi-final, or is there any value in watching on? I think the next 3 days worth of cricket is appetizing, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think, but I think there is the possibility that on Sunday evening we're talking about, what is it? Quite a lot of days.
About 2 weeks.
2 whole weeks. 2 whole weeks where there is maybe a 5% chance of an upset to the top 4, which is cricket all over, really, isn't it? That'd be, insanely dumb, but also like a load of chickens coming home to roost at once with the setup of this format and so on. So let's cross our fingers. We're optimists, right?
Yeah. Well, Ricken came out and literally said, do we think that the current top 4, is anyone going to drop out of that space? But a lot has to happen.
The thing, isn't it? A lot has to happen. New Zealand are playing Australia, South Africa, and Pakistan, right? They could lose all 3 of those. And Australia are playing New Zealand, England. No, that's not going to happen. South Africa are playing Pakistan, New Zealand, and India. So they could lose all 3 of those. And then, you got 10-point shootout. But the realistic possibility of one of those teams losing all 3 just seems a little bit far-fetched. Even though in isolation, you could see those games going that way. For all 3 to happen does just seem a little far-fetched. I think that's where it falls down. But, we've always got the excitement of the jostling for position to see who has to play India in the semi-final. That'll be fun.
Yes. Yeah, that would be great. Who gets to knock out India in the semi-finals?
Yeah.
Anything else left on the podcast, Ross? Do we have any reviews in, or could you not find them?
Oh, we do have a review, and it's a really quite nice review, actually. So, the very pinnacle of cricket analysis and entertainment, 5 stars. Think of everything that shatters your cricket watching experience: Harsher's banality, Butcher's rabid partisanship, Boyce's inability to pronounce anything that originates from outside the British Isles, and just how much Ranjit Fernando grates on you. This podcast is everything but. Ross, Jack, and Max are eloquent, erudite, irreverent, funny, and bring a cutting, independent, and insightful edge to cricket analysis. I would go so far as to say that listening to their podcast is typically more interesting than watching the matches that they review. That's probably fair to say. And unlike their stuffy compatriots, they know where they know where the future of the game is, and they boldly go there. Hint: IPL. Okay, maybe that is a bit of an exaggeration. The pronunciation of exotic names does leave something to be desired. Cough, Kurtzia. Download this podcast and give them 5 stars. That is a review from RKNTU. So thank you for that. And if you want to have your podcast review read out, go on to Apple Podcasts and leave us a written review. And we've had 2 absolute crackers recently, so thank you for those. And I think on Spotify we're up to nearly 550 5-star reviews, so keep those coming in as well.
Yeah, perfect. And I'm not going to read out the whole email, but a shout out to Aaron, who sent us a very nice email about Virat Kohli. That was much appreciated. Right, fellas, are we done? Is this the Cricket Podcast signing out until Friday? I think it is. Enjoy the cricket. England, let's pray for some good results in these 2 matches. Let's pray for some upsets, some magic, some cricket magic. That's what we want.
Let's do it.
That's what we're all about. Magic. Bye-bye.